Hello Rich, I decided to make this video to see if I can explain the answer to your question and also kind of explain a little bit of what I've been doing in Infusionsoft. The answer to your first question is what we'll go over here, but I also notice you say, is there a way to have the notes added into the column row so I can keep track of all clients? I'm not sure what you mean by the column row, so perhaps you can explain that later. But as far as this question, is there a way to create a list of people who have attended any webinar of ours and have that list always updated with the newest clients up first? Question mark. Yes, and you can do it with tags. I like to do everything with tags because you can easily run reports with tags, and that's the whole point of a lot of the metrics reporting that I implemented into the funnel. So my first question is, do you want people who attended or completed the webinar? Either way, the process is the same. But first, let's go into the campaign, and I'll kind of show you what I have done in general, because it'll help you understand the thought process that I'm following. All right, so what I did is I basically kept pretty much everything the same, but I added a few tags and processes in places that would help us determine some of the actions that were taken. So I created a bunch of new tags, and I added those tags in at certain points in the sequence. I may have changed some of the flows around a little bit, but not by much. For example, since I added these tags after purchases, you'll notice that it says one person is has purchased the Investors Toolkit for the full price. One person purchased with the installment plan. And I also have tags for how they came into the funnel. For example, there was a form that says sign up from Fiverr. I added a tag sequence that shows that. There was a form that said sign up for newsletter, which I didn't create, by the way. It says one person is tagged as coming in from that form. Podcast sign up, no one has filled it out since I added these tags here. So these tags are basically a way of telling where these people are coming from, and anytime we add a new source, a tag sequence needs to be added right after. So now with the Stealth seminar, when you set up a seminar, I noticed a few things. You're setting it up with a tag and an action set. So with a tag and an action set, there's no need to enter a new tag sequence. You already have those action sets in Stealth Seminar. However, the action sets needs to have tags applied to them so that it acts kind of like a sales tag, meaning it's an action tag saying this person completed a webinar, because if that's what you want to know is whether they attended or completed, you need to tag them as attended or completed, whichever you prefer. I'll leave that up to you, but I'll show you how to do it. Again, I add a tag for sales. You can add a tag for attended the webinar. Once the webinar registration form is input, they go into this sequence right here. Here's a webinar registered through SS. It's a tag. Here's a registered for webinar, not from SS, perhaps from some of the other sequences in the emails. That's a separate tag. They all go into this sequence right here. Now, Rich, because you use Stealth Seminar, your process is a little different. You need to make sure that the tags are in the action sets. And I was finally able to go through the action sets and understand exactly what it is you do. So here we are in Stealth Seminar. And please note, I did not change, touch, or save anything in Stealth Seminar. I am only looking at the process. What you need to do is go to the marketing automation. And you probably know some of this already, but I figured it out on my own. So excuse me if I'm repeating some stuff you already have understood. But in this particular action set, you have it set to 308. So what you need to do is you need to go to Infusionsoft Action Set. And the way you do that, don't know if you know, but we'll go through it anyways. CRM Settings, Action Sets. And I sorted them by the ID number. So in this particular stealth seminar, this action set where they are logged in is action set number 308. So I go back here and I look for 308. And there it is. Click Edit, SS LANgeek logged in. And 308 shows me that it applies one tag already. It shows they are logged in, and it shows that they are removing a tag saying that they missed the webinar. So I assume that everyone who registers, you tag them as missed the webinar, and if they attend, you remove the tag. That's what it looks like to me, and that makes sense. However, if you want to tag everyone who attended on a different date, then we need to do more than just add this tag. Now, for your particular report, I noticed that this tag is set under the webinar category, SS the LANgeek logged in. That is action set 308. If I were you and you want to set up a way of reporting on each date, what I would do is every time you have a webinar, which will be every week, and yes, this could get tedious because there'll be a long list of tags, but if you really want to know how many people attended, you could add the same tag with the date at the end of it. You see what I did? The LANgeek logged in 6/26/14, for example. And all you would do is create this tag and select that. Once you do that, the logged in action set 308 will go to webinar category, SS the LANgeek logged in, spelled that wrong, 6/26/2014. Create and save. And that's all you would need to do. So every time you run a report with this particular tag, it'll tell you who logged in on 6/24/14. Likewise, if you were referring to, back to your action sets, if you were referring to those who completed the webinar, that is action set number 314. So I'll cancel that and I'll go to, again, this is the action set list, and look for 314. There. The LANgeek completed webinar. You have a tag there already. So, edit. And it shows SS the LANgeek completed webinar. Again, you could change this every week by simply adding a new tag and pointing it here. Pointing the action set to the new tag. Again, you can create a new tag under the category webinar, and the LANgeek completed webinar 6/26/14. You create the tag and click save. And what that does is, in Stealth Seminar, because this action set is going to be run for everyone who completes the webinar, they will automatically be tagged here with as many tags as you want. The good thing is you can add a new tag here. You can apply another tag. You can create a new one to add to the one that's already there. In Infusionsoft, you can have as many tags as you want. You can have millions of unlimited tags. So If you really want those reports that way, that is the best way to do it as of now. So, to summarize, create a new tag under the webinar category that has a new date. You need to do this every time you run a new webinar, so you can run a report on that new tag. It has to be a new tag. For example, webinar category, SS the LAN Geek completed webinar. This could be logged in. Whatever tag you want. If you're trying to get people who logged in or people who completed, do that. Number 2, make sure it is attached to the action set being run in Stealth Seminar. For example, 314, which is completed webinar action set. Edit the action set in Infusionsoft to change the tag. This is a must if you want to pull up a report of who attended or completed the webinar. If you just want a report of who logged into the webinar, use action set 308 right there. So every time you run the webinar, your action set will apply those tags. And after the webinar, you can run a report in Infusionsoft that'll show you how many people actually attended or completed the webinar. And you will not have to add a new tag at the end of a webinar sequence in this campaign builder, because an action set works behind the scenes, which at first I didn't know that you were using action sets, but now that I do, that is how you use them. So I hope this video helped, and that is the basic answer to your first question. Just one more thing about tags to explain how I decided to set up the metrics portion of the funnel. In the tag section of Infusionsoft, again, CRM settings, tags. What I did was I created 2 new categories so that I wouldn't have to change existing tags. I created a source category and I created an action taken category. Action taken is where I record all the purchases, for example, here. So these tags are under the action taken category. Source, obviously, pay-per-clicks, affiliate webinar, opt-in forms. I created these in case you wanted to use them for the last webinar, but we didn't. But I just created them anyways. So that's where podcast sign up. So that's where there. That's where they'll be tagged right here if they came from here, and so on and so forth. So that's the general process, because running reports with tags is what gives you the answer to your question of how do I tell how many people attended the webinar, or how many people purchased the installment plan, how many people purchased the toolkit, and so on and so forth. So I hope that explains everything as far as this question goes.